To get the most of this video, you'll want to make sure that you've taken care of setting up your Beefree account in the Beefree SDK console and that you have access to your client ID and client secret. As long as you have that and a current version of Node.js, you're ready to get started. So let's navigate to the GitHub repo called Beefree Angular Demo, again within the Beefree SDK account. We'll go ahead and clone that. Once that's downloaded, we'll go ahead and CD into the project. So it should be Beefree Angular Demo. And let's run our install. So npm install beefree.io/SDK. Looks like that went without a hitch. And then we'll also install our supporting packages to take care of our proxy server for authentication purposes. We will have all of these lines available for you within the README itself. Excellent. Looks like we're ready to go. The next step is to connect this Beefree instance with your Beefree credentials. So in that case, if we list out all of our files here, you'll see we have a .env.example file. So let's go into that. What we'll do is where we have the text that says your client ID and your client secret, we'll simply replace that with your client ID and secret. Again, you can find those in the developer console, as we see here. So I have a single instance called test email 1. Clicking on details will reveal both the ID and secret, and we will simply copy and paste those into our code. So this will go here. And then our secret goes here. That's all it takes. Two more things we want to do with this environment variable file. First, let's change it from .env example. Let's change the name to .env so that it actually works correctly in our package. Secondly, we'll add it to our gitignore file because we don't want to save these environment variables, your client ID and secret, and have those pushed into version control. So going into .gitignore, and under the environment files section, it looks like .env has already been added. So we're good to go. Let's talk for just another moment about authentication. To run the Beefree SDK, you'll need a way of securely fetching authentication tokens from Beefree. We've shown an example of how to do that in the proxy server.js file, which is in the root directory. If you navigate there, you'll see what we're doing is making a post request using Axios, pointing it to this URL to log into Beefree, populating the necessary fields with your client ID and client secret, and then returning the full JSON body to authenticate and to initialize the Beefree SDK. You're welcome to use this implementation or one more suitable for your dev environment. With our project and auth proxy set up, let's look at the Angular components that gets the Beefree editor on the screen. Now, as you see here, we've created a standalone Angular component called Beefree editor. Now, in the TypeScript file, our main logic lives inside the ng-on-init lifecycle hook. First, we asynchronously fetch our auth token here from the local proxy we built earlier. Once we have that token, we create a new Beefree SDK instance here, and we call the start method on that. Within this method, it takes a configuration object where we define a few key things, like the container property, which is the ID of the HTML element where the editor will load, and some callback functions such as onSave and onError. These let our Angular app react to events inside the editor. Now that our editor component is ready, we just need to use it. Let's go to the app component, the main app component, into the TypeScript file here. As you see, we're going to import the Beefree editor here. From there, we simply place its selector at Beefree editor inside the template, and we're ready to go. So now we're in a great place. Within our sample Angular application, we've installed a local instance of the Beefree SDK. We've taken care of all the details for authentication, and we also created an Angular component to house the Beefree SDK itself. We're ready to run this application. We're going to start here with two terminal windows open. We're CD'd into the project. And then the first, we'll just run node proxy server.js to handle getting that authorized token. Once that's running, in the other terminal, we'll just run ngserve to run our Angular application. Once the project is built, we see it's being served to localhost 4200, so let's go there. And in the browser, we see our Angular application, both the H1 here, as well as this button that points to documentation. And then within the Angular application itself, we see our Beefree SDK embedded, ready to start adding the content blocks of your choice.